Hey guys, tonight, let's do the sensible thing and lie down somewhere comfortable. Maybe dim the lights, maybe put your phone face down. Nothing important is happening out there anyway. Tonight, we're talking about food. Specifically, royal food, which sounds fun at first, until you realize it absolutely was not. Because for most of history, being born into unimaginable wealth meant unlimited access to meat, sugar, wine, and butter, and absolutely no understanding of moderation, nutrition, or basic digestive consequences. So, settle in, let your shoulders drop, and let's gently wander through centuries of overfed monarchs who ate constantly, complained endlessly, and somehow still believed this was the best system anyone had ever invented. The royal diet was never about pleasure. It was about status, about excess, about proving, through sheer volume of consumption, that God liked you more than everyone else. And because of that, kings and queens across Europe spent their lives bloated, constipated, gout-ridden, and deeply confused about why their bodies kept betraying them. Let's start slowly. As all good digestive disasters do, in medieval Europe, breakfast wasn't really a thing for peasants. But for royals, breakfast existed. And it was aggressive. A king might begin his day with bread soaked in wine, because water was suspicious. Then maybe some cold meat from the night before, possibly a pastry stuffed with honey and dried fruit. And if it was a fasting day, which was most days, he would still eat fish. A lot of fish, prepared in ways that made it taste like meat, because loopholes were very important to God. This wasn't indulgence, this was obligation. 2. Refuse food was rude. To eat lightly was suspicious. To enjoy vegetables was borderline treason. Royal cooks understood their job clearly. Make food heavy. Make it rich. Make it impressive. And if the king can't stand up afterward, you've done it correctly. Let's drift over to Henry VIII. Because of course we are. Young Henry was athletic, tall, strong, fond of hunting, jousting, and showing off his calves. And early on, his diet was already ridiculous. Multiple courses per meal, red meat constantly, game birds, venison, beef, pork, more pork, sauces thickened with bread, cream, and egg yolks. Because why choose one artery-clogging ingredient? When you can combine 3, vegetables appeared occasionally, mostly as decoration. Fruit was eaten, but often cooked into pies or drowned in sugar. Raw fruit was considered dangerous, which is funny, considering everything else. Henry drank ale all day, wine at night, sometimes wine during the day too. Hydration was alcohol-based. As he aged, Henry's activity level dropped. His food intake did not. By his 40s, he was consuming an estimated 5,000 calories a day, minimum. By his 50s, walking was painful. Standing was optional, and sitting required planning. Gout set in, ulcers opened on his legs. Constipation became a recurring enemy, and still, the meals kept coming. Because a king who ate less looked weak, and weakness, as we know, leads directly to people having opinions. Doctors, meanwhile, were doing their best, which is to say, absolutely not helping. Royal physicians believed illness was caused by imbalance. Too much heat. Too much cold, too much moisture. Too much something. The solution was not dietary change. The solution was bleeding, purging, and more rich food to restore strength. So Henry ate more, bled more, complained more, and somehow blamed his wives. Let's gently slide over to France. French courts perfected excess. They didn't just eat, they performed eating. A royal meal might last 3 or 4 hours. Dozens of dishes, most of them unnecessary, all of them heavy. Louis XIV, the Sun King, ate publicly, because everything he did was public, including digestion, which we will not linger on. His diet was rich in meat, bread, and sweets. He adored sugar, pastries, candied fruits, deserts stacked on deserts. Vegetables were present, but treated with suspicion. Salads were thought to cause melancholy, which is ironic, because the rest of the diet caused despair of a different sort. Louis suffered from chronic digestive issues, constipation, gas, abdominal pain. At one point, he famously endured surgery without anesthesia. Not diet-related, but it didn't help. Still, he ate, because stopping would imply mortality. And Louis did not do mortality. He lived to 76, which was impressive, but his later years were a parade of discomfort, stiffness, and ceremonial suffering. Now let's float eastward for a moment, toward the Habsburgs. Yes, the family tree that was more of a wreath. The Habsburg diet was heavy. Meat forward, starch heavy, low in fiber, very low in self-awareness. Charles II of Spain is our gentle centerpiece here. Born into generations of cousin marriages, Charles had a jaw that barely functioned. Chewing was difficult. Swallowing was slow. Digestion was worse. And yet, his meals were enormous. Servants had to help him eat, not because he was lazy, but because anatomy had failed him. He consumed rich stews, roasted meats, and bread soaked in sauce. Vegetables were minimal. Fruit was cooked. He suffered constant stomach pain, diarrhea, alternating with constipation, fatigue, weakness. Doctors blamed witchcraft. Obviously, no one suggested fewer calories or more fiber. That would have been insane. So, Charles continued eating like a healthy man in an unhealthy body, which worked exactly as well as you'd expect. Diez, yo, and everyone was shocked. Let's not forget royal children. Royal diets started early. Very early. Infants were weaned onto bread soaked in wine or broth. Sugar was common. Milk was risky. Water was suspicious. Children of nobility were fed like miniature adults. Heavy meals, meat-based diets, few vegetables. As a result, many royal children were sickly, bloated, pale, frequently ill, and this was interpreted as refinement. A chubby, lethargic child was seen as well cared for. A healthy, energetic child looked common. So the cycle continued. By adolescence, young royals were already dealing with gout, dental decay, and digestive problems, which they carried proudly into adulthood. Now let's gently hover back toward England. Queen Elizabeth I had a sweet tooth that could legally be classified as a threat. She adored sugar, marzipan, candied violets, sugared almonds. Her teeth blackened. Her breath reportedly suffered, but her image remained pristine. She avoided vegetables, preferred white bread, loved meat. Elizabeth also feared aging, which made her cling even harder to indulgence. She fasted occasionally, but not in a modern sense, more in a dramatic, performative way. Her doctors encouraged moderation. She ignored them politely. Toward the end of her life, digestion slowed. Appetite faded, mood darkened. But food remained central, because to eat was to rule. Across Europe, this pattern repeated endlessly. Kings who hunted less but ate more. Queens trapped by ceremony and sugar. Courts obsessed with feasts, while the countryside starved. Food was power, and power was heavy. Literally. The irony, of course, is that while royals ate more than anyone else, they enjoyed it less. Every meal was public. Every bite observed. Every preference scrutinized. Discomfort was constant. Doctors were useless. Bodies were failing, and yet no one stopped. Because the royal diet was never about nourishment. It was about proving, again and again, that you were allowed to suffer in silk while others starved in linen. And that, somehow, was considered divine order. So, take a slow breath. Let your jaw unclench. And as we drift onward, remember, the crown was heavy. The food was heavier. And digestion, for most monarchs, was a lifelong, deeply personal tragedy.